Hey, welcome back to the channel. What do these three things have in common? Well, they're all born around and lived during the same time frame. And that's the amazing thing about these items. This is what we're going to be talking about today. This knife is 174 years old. Absolutely amazing. Wait till we get into this knife and you see the shape that this knife is in. It's absolutely fantastic. And we're going to be talking a little bit about how I know that this is 174 years old. It's actually older, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. And if you'd like to hear more about that, go ahead and check out the video. All right, knife wars in the woods. Sherry's got her Kubi phylum, and she's getting way too close. Stop. Hey, welcome back to the fortified castle, and hi to all my viewers. Happy New Year. So what do these three things have in common? Well, they all came from basically the same time. Not exactly, but pretty close. So this is a really old boot button hook, probably used on boots. Pretty cool. It is sterling silver, and this is a hair straightener. You would heat this up, and it's how they curled and straightened their hair before we had electricity. Pretty cool. One of these, I forget which. One is from 1816. The other one dates to 1836. This knife dates to around that time frame. What an amazing little knife this is. Look at this inlaid, braided silver chain around here. Look how perfect they line up. They line up exactly, the bottom and the top one. Very well done. Nice diamond silver shield, which is kind of different. You don't really see that a lot. This is ivory. Now you're going to say, don't look like ivory. It looks like bone. Yeah, it's ivory, and I'll share with you how I know that in a little bit. So you can see you have nickel silver pins here, brass liners. Doesn't look like there was any milling on this knife, even though it's kind of a special knife. It's a center swell, balloon in, penknife, four-bladed penknife. And these things are just, so that's a good pull. You get a really nice half stop. You can see there's no stepping there. And listen for walk and talk. Solid, boy, solid. Over 174 years old, and this thing sounds like a new knife. Look at this one right here. You can see the French poles, or long pole as we call them. They were called French poles because they originated in France. So nice little swedge there, and you can see clearly Martin Brothers Sheffield. Martin Brothers Sheffield. That's on every blade. Pull this one out. On every blade. A little bit of wear there. Wearing down a little. Don't get up here. My cat's fixing to really mess up this video. And the last one is another good sized main blade. Probably was a sheep's foot, looks like. Beautiful little knife. So I'll give you the history on this in a minute. Let me show you how I know this is ivory, because I know a lot of you are like, it doesn't look like ivory. All right, so I just wanted to show this to you. It's you can see on there the color of this. It looks like a just a dirty brown bone. You know, like somebody put oil on the bone. But the way you could tell that this is ivory is we're just going to turn off the lights here and turn on a black light. Whoop. Sorry about that. Turn on that black light. You can see how that shines up a bright yellow. Maybe you can't see that, but that is a bright yellow. And under UV light, true ivory will show up that bright yellow like that. And this is through how that, looked really dirty before. Let me show you again. As the camera gets adjusted, you could see how that was just a little dirty brown color. It shows bright yellow under the UV, and that's how you can tell you have ivory. Okay, so that little trick of using a UV light on ivory works for other things too. It works, you can tell bone from wood that way. You can tell genuine tortoiseshell, but each natural item has a different signature, and so there'll be different colors. And on ivory, it's yellow, so this is kind of like a dingy bone looking color right here, kind of brownish. Just looked to me originally like this was oiled bone. You know how bone darkens? But this is a really old knife, and that is not really dark bone like you would expect on a knife. And when I put the black light on it, this thing just shines yellow, and that is the UV signature for ivory. So that's pretty cool. Why don't we get into the history of this? So Martin Brothers, if you look at, say, Goins lists Martin Brothers tank stamp from 1847 to 1860. And Goins, he was off just a little bit on some of his dates, especially the British dates. And we're going to go through how I know this thing dates actually before 1851. Okay, so John Aaron Martin was born in 1819. His brother Richard was born in 1821, and his father was Richard Martin. He was a silversmith, a jeweler, and a hardware man. And so he would work on things like this. That's what silversmith and jewelers did. They made silver items, mainly for retail outlets to sell. And when they were old enough, Aaron and Richard joined their father in that enterprise. So in 1849, Aaron and Richard form a partnership with James Naylor. Naylor was a cutler, and they joined forces with him. But very soon after that, in 1851, Aaron left, and then that firm became Martin and Naylor. And so by British law, whenever the firm had a turnover like that of principals, they had to change the name of the company. And so in 1852, Naylor left the company. I think he retired actually, but he left the company. And the new principal that came on was Hall. So in 1853, or actually 1852, it became Martin and Hall. Now, each of these turnovers would have had a different tang stamp. You can see here, this says Martin Brothers, okay? Martin Brothers. So you would not have a Martin Brothers knife selling in 1853 when it became Martin and Hall. And so shortly after Martin and Hall merged or became partners, there was a merger with a company called Roberts and Hall. They were a big silversmith concern in England. So knowing that allows me to date this knife to pre 1851. That's when Aaron left the firm. And so that the name of the firm, by the way, prior from 1849 on, was Martin Brothers and Naylor. So the Martin Brothers just consolidated their name, and it would have been Martin Brothers and Naylor. So this knife predates 1849 when those two came together. So Queen Victoria became queen in 1837. So this is a Victorian age knife. You can see her picture up there. But to let you know how old this knife is, I'm going to share a few of the events that went on. So you can see up in the screen kind of a timeline of things that went on in the 1840s. But in 1845, the Franklin expedition set sail from England, and they were trying to map a winter route through the Arctic. And if you've ever seen that Netflix show called Terror, which is a good show, by the way, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. It's I think like a 6-part series, really good series, but it shows a lot of the events that transpired on that Franklin expedition, and that is the Franklin expedition is the base story to the Terror series. So that's pretty interesting. But all of those men lost their lives, by the way. 129 men lost. In 1846, Buffalo Bill Cody was born, and Congress declared war on Mexico. Sounds like a good idea today. 1848, you had the California Gold Rush. And Karl Marx published the Communist Manifesto. So that's how old you're talking about this knife here. This knife was made before the Martin Brothers became partners with Naylor, and that's a really narrow time frame. So you're talking like between 1841 and 1848. This knife was born, and they just did a bang-up job on this knife. It's incredible to walk and talk on this knife after 174 plus years. And I get that date, by the way. 174 is the date to 1849. So that's where I get that date. Yeah, just a really special piece right there of history from so long ago we can't imagine. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed the information. Thank you so much for your likes, shares, and comments, and I'll see you in the next video.